Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tracy O'Rourke, Chief Innovation Officer at GoLean6Sigma.com.
And I am Dane Dustmer, Manager of Client Experience.
And welcome to GoLean6Sigma.com's Champion Course Information Session. But we're going to really be talking today about why the world needs Lean Six Sigma champions, in case you were wondering. Maybe you can help us out with that as well. If you haven't already, please join us for our first activity by sharing where you're from in the chat window and the industry, if you so wish to share. We've already heard from a few very interesting people in this country and across the world. And we typically get a lot of registrations from everywhere in the world. And we just want to know where you are and where you're coming from and joining us for today. So go ahead and type that in the chat window. And while we're waiting, I'll just cover a few housekeeping notes before we begin. All of you will be on mute as we talk through the slides. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A session, but we will answer questions anytime. Just enter them in the chat window and we'll answer them as soon as we can see them or if we know the answer. We welcome your participation. We have a few polls for you to participate in as well. So what are we seeing, Dane? Where are people joining us from?
Well, to start off, we have Jason Prezzotti from Rutgers University in Newark, New Jersey. We have Lewis from the Crime Lab in Georgia.
Nice.
We have Melody from Missouri Department of Revenue. We also have Romero from San Diego. We have Anthony. We have Leslie from the Quality Manager's Office. A lot of different people from a lot of different areas.
Yeah, definitely. That's exciting. I just saw someone joining us from Saudi Arabia too. Welcome, everyone. We're very excited to talk about our champion course. So just to tell you a little bit about GoLean6Sigma.com first, our mission is to revolutionize the way people learn process improvement, making it easy for everyone everywhere to build their problem-solving muscles. We really, really try to strive to achieve this mission. We have a lot of free stuff on our website. We just give away stuff as much as possible because we really these are our three values. One of them is a trailblazing spirit. So we're lifelong learners and we're changing our approach all the time, especially with COVID happening. Everybody's moving more and more online and we're offering blended workshops and this is a new course as well because we feel like there's a need out there for people wanting to know how to be better Lean Six Sigma leaders and champions. Another big part of our values is cultivating community. So we really want to develop a place where people can come and be a community of Lean Six Sigma practitioners and problem solvers. We have a LinkedIn group, and if you're not a part of that, please join us in that. I'm always in there, so is Elizabeth, and you're welcome to join us as well. It's free, but we do these webinars as a way to cultivate our community. We also have a podcast, and we've got, again, lots of things we're doing to try to generate discussion in our LinkedIn group. And finally, we have a servant's heart. We're here to be of service to you with these free webinars, answer any questions that you may have. And ultimately, these are the things that drive everything that we do. We are not just a training provider. We are embedded in the Lean Six Sigma community. We contribute. We're invested in our mission. So let's talk a little bit about, besides those values, let's talk a little bit about how GoLean6Sigma.com is different from the others. So I'm not sure if any of you have participated in any of our trainings yet. Please let us know if you have. We'd love to hear it. If you have completed a white belt or a yellow belt, those are both free, by the way, on our website, if you didn't know. And then the yellow belt training is 8 hours of free training. So let us know. Have you gone through our training? Type it in the chat window. I'd love to see that. But what really differentiates GoLean Six Sigma versus others? So first of all, we make it easy to understand and fun. Yes, process improvement doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be dry. It doesn't have to be confusing and complicated, although there are lots of training programs that deliver on those things. But we try to make it easy to understand and practical. We want to make sure that people understand really how to apply these things, how to apply it. We don't want this to be an academic exercise. We don't want you to know every single tool that exists in the book. We want you to know the most common tools, why you would use them, and we want you to be able to apply them. We are constantly updating our products and our services for our customers based on their feedback as well. So it doesn't have to be exhausting. You don't have to go and listen to outdated training material. Liz says she loves our podcast too. Thank you. And that's the Just in Time Cafe. We've got 60 episodes. If any of you are interested and haven't heard about it, check it out on iTunes. But we really strive to make it different. We're globally recognized. We are the highest rated Lean Six Sigma training, and we don't have a limited breath, and we are not unpopular like some of our competitors are. So the other thing is, we practice what we preach. We update our products and services based on customer feedback. Like I said, we provide the most practical, easy to understand, and enjoyable Lean Six Sigma resources available to over 250,000 learners in 220 countries and territories around the world. In addition, we are offered at 2,000 higher education institutions all over the United States. UC San Diego is one of them. I'm here in San Diego. I teach the Lean Six Sigma Green Belt at UCSD, and that program is in collaboration with Go Lean Six Sigma. So that's a little bit about Go Lean Six Sigma. Of course, you can tell I really like our products and services. Dane, what do you think? Do you like our products and services?
Absolutely. I remember the first time when I took our Yellow Belt course when I was just starting here. And one thing that for me really stuck out was that a lot of stuff was really familiar to me. Being someone who has a good work ethic and likes to do a good job at whatever role I'm in, I found that a lot of the concepts were already really familiar. And when I took the training, it just really solidified them and gave me words to talk about it.
Yes, good. I'm glad to hear that. And he is a hard worker. He's in Chicago. So thanks for that, Dane.
Absolutely, Tracy.
Okay, so this is our agenda for today. We're going to be talking a little bit about why Lean Six Sigma. I'm going to assume that most of you know what Lean Six Sigma is, but surprisingly, we do have people that come to these sessions and they have no idea what Lean Six Sigma is. So if you do know about Lean Six Sigma already, you'll be patient with us. It's just a few slides. We're going to cover those. Then we're going to talk about what is a Lean Six Sigma champion and why does the world need Lean Six Sigma champions? Then we're going to talk about our brand new course, the Champion course, the Lean Six Sigma Champion course. We're going to give you a brief overview, and Dane's going to take you through the registration costs and the process. And the really great news is, because you're attending, you don't want to leave early because we have a huge surprise for you if you actually want to take this course. I know the suspense is going to kill you. I know. Okay, so let's talk through let's talk a little bit about what Lean Six Sigma is really quickly. So I always like to say, before you can explain Lean Six Sigma, you have to talk about processes. Everything we do is a process, from delivering a pizza to getting a driver's license permit to baking a cake, everything we do. And all businesses deliver their goods and services through some process. So for example, if you decide to take one of our trainings, you're going to go through a process to get registered. When you start a new job, you go through the onboarding process. That is a process. When you register your kids to go to school, that is a process. When you're trying to figure out the COVID process for your kids to learn, I'm going through that right now. That is a process. So everything is a process. Well, guess what? What if the processes are not working optimally? Have you ever had a situation where you were a victim of a poor process, a process that didn't work very well? Yes, I'm sure that we all have been through it, because you would think in 2020 that all processes would be perfect by now. But unfortunately, change guarantees that processes are always going to need to be improved. Right, Dane? What do you think?
Absolutely. We are constantly reinventing our own processes here on the back end to provide even better service, to embody that value of ours of a servant's heart.
Definitely. So Why do companies need to improve their processes? Does this ever stop? Well, organizations need problem solvers so that we can work on improving processes. And guess what? If you have an army of problem solvers, you need leaders to mentor the problem solvers. Enter champion course training. So this is really important. We're going to talk about this a little bit more in just a moment. But ultimately, we really want to make sure that people can work on their processes. Process improvement really is working on the process versus working in it. So most people are hired to do a certain job. Like, was it Jason that said he's in animal husbandry? Whoa. And what about, who was the other gentleman that said he works in Georgia in the investigation?
I believe that was Lewis.
Lewis, thank you. So both of these, they were hired to do a job. I'm sure they do this job very well. Well, what if those processes aren't working optimally? They have to stop working in the process to work on the process. And that is when process improvement skills come in. A completely different skill set. It helps to know the process, but you are actually using and deploying different skills to do that. That is where Lean Six Sigma comes in. Lean Six Sigma is the skill set or the toolkit for improving processes. It combines Lean and Six Sigma to create Lean Six Sigma. So if you know anything about Lean Six Sigma, you know Lean came from Toyota in the 40s. Six Sigma came from Motorola in the 80s. And a lot of people are training Lean and Six Sigma together because guess what? They have the same goals. They reduce variation, reduce waste, reduce defects. And you really need to know both. It would be really nice to know that you have both kits available to you and you can apply any tool that works in that situation. We don't want you to be limited because you only know Lean. We don't want you to be limited because you only know Six Sigma. So we actually combine training for Lean and Six Sigma. So ultimately, if you have anyone trained in Lean and or Six Sigma, they've got training and skills to analyze processes, find root causes, and solve problems at the root. Why wouldn't organizations want armies of problem solvers? Armies of employees that know how to do this really well. Well, guess what? Most organizations really do want problem solvers. Lean Six Sigma is very mainstream now, regardless of what people call it. They call it operational excellence, continuous improvement, business process re-engineering. What do you guys call it? So some of you are in continuous improvement in your organizations. You're deploying it. I think someone said that they have done the yellow belt and they're certified in Lean. I believe we have a couple of people attending that are process improvement people. What have you guys heard? Is it called Lean Six Sigma? Liz says process optimization. Thank you, Liz. What are some other names you guys have heard process improvement called? Just type it in the chat window. I'd love to hear what some of the new names are. You never know. Courtney says business transformation services. DeMatt says quality improvement. Jana says continuous improvement. Excellent. So these are all really terms that are being used. It's really mainstream. I'm actually still surprised when I hear people say they've never heard of process improvement or Lean Six Sigma. Dane, are you surprised? Or and maybe not, because maybe sometimes I feel like I've been doing this 20 years, that maybe I need to give people a break. But I don't know. What do you think, Dane?
I think it depends on who I'm talking to. There are some people where when I tell them about what I do, for instance, they're like, Lean Six Sigma, what's that? Is that some kind of dessert? I'm like, no. And there's some people when I say Lean Six Sigma, they're like, oh, I know exactly what that is. So I think it really varies depending upon who I'm talking to, but I'm actually surprised at how many people know what kind of work I'm involved in, what process improvement is, versus how many people don't know about it.
Yeah, definitely. So what I would love to know is, why does your company implement Lean Six Sigma? If you had to tell, what would you say is the reason why your companies are saying, yes, we are implementing Lean Six Sigma or process improvement, operational excellence? What would be the reasons that people, please type it in the chat window. What would be some of the reasons that you see? I would love to hear. Make things better for our citizens. Love that. So yes, in government, we tend to say, how do we make it better for our citizens? How do we spend taxpayer dollars better, more effectively, more efficiently? I agree.
Absolutely.
Tracy writes, patient safety and quality. Okay, that's healthcare, right? I love hearing about process improvement in healthcare because, gosh, what's better than saving lives? and reducing deaths, right? I have to be honest and tell you that the very first time I was exposed to healthcare, I went to a conference and they had this, it was probably, I don't know, 15 years ago. And their goal was to reduce accidental deaths by 100,000. And I was sitting there like my eyes spread open, like, well, how many people are dying? Right? So I was shocked, but you know what? They've been great, and there's a lot of activity in healthcare with process improvement. It's really good to hear those stories. What else are we hearing, Dane, and seeing on the chat window?
Yeah, Chriselle says to streamline processes more effectively and efficiently. Jason says same thing, streamline process to make the flow better for their staff and for their animals. Courtney said that they seek to deliver value to the customer and reduce manual efforts, improve client experience from Ryan. Anthony says reduce control variation in processes. Yana says empowering teams to see and solve problems. All really great stuff related to trying to deliver that value to our customers.
Very good. I love it. Okay, well, I think you guys mostly hit all of the things that are on here. So increasing efficiency, reducing the cost of poor quality, improving the customer experience, strengthening the organization, which is one of my favorites. Strengthening the organization, I think people forget to make that connection, but really operational excellence is a great strategy to try to help achieve strategic goals of an organization. And you become more agile at doing those things, and you're growing employees into armies of problem solvers. And that really does make a difference. So I have a poll for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. Don't type it in the chat window. Go ahead and answer it in the poll. Are you currently in a leadership role where problem solvers report to you? I'd love to hear where you are. Are you a leader? Yes, you have direct reports and they apply process improvement. Or yes, you have direct reports, but they do not apply process improvement. Or no, I don't have any direct reports. I'm just curious. So let's see what people put in this poll. And, you know, we typically get a wide variety. By the way, on the podcast, we typically have a lot of leaders that have problem solvers reporting to them, and they tell us how they're doing as a leader. So if you have an interest in that, I think it would be helpful. All right, let's go ahead and end the poll and share the results. So what do we got, Dane?
Absolutely. So the number one answer we see here is C, no, I do not have direct reports. So that's 52%. Followed by that is going to be answer A, yes, I have direct reports and they apply process improvement in their job. That's 30%. And in the end is B, yes, I have direct reports, but they do not apply process improvement with 17%.
All right, good. Thank you for that. Very interesting. So we've got about 30% that do have direct reports. They're applying process improvement. And I would be interested to know for those of you that have direct reports, but they don't apply process improvement, is that because your company doesn't promote process improvement? Is that not a focus right now? I would be curious just to know. So just type something in the chat window that would help us know what's going on there. Thank you for sharing that. So ultimately, this could be the champion course is typically for people that have people reporting to them. But I believe that you can also learn a lot if you're growing problem solvers, if you're, let's say, in a continuous improvement role, or even building strength so that you can be a mentor for someone. So we have a lot of people that really want to help people build good problem statements and, you know, good visual management, those kinds of things. So it's not just for leaders that have direct reports. It could be for other people as well for this course. So thank you for participating. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the belt. So many of you are very familiar with this because you already have a belt. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. All I'll say is the analogy of karate is very common because it indicates that the higher the belt you have, the more expertise and knowledge that you have. And so that's why this belt system works, because it gives you an indicator of how much training someone has had, and so that they can chop through waste and, you know, do karate chops. And I always love it when people send me a karate kick picture after they got their green belt certificate. Dane, make sure if you get any of those that you send those to me, because I love seeing those.
Absolutely.
We don't actually require the kick shot though, because if somebody falls, we don't want to be liable. Totally kidding. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the champion. So the one thing on this particular summary of belts is the master black belt is typically the highest level in terms of skill and knowledge. The champion does follow the master black belt. However, they typically don't have as much of a deepened learning and knowledge in process improvement, but they have power. They're a leader. They have the ability to influence. And, you know, yes, there are certain things that are important things that a champion should do as they support a lean, an organization that is doing continuous improvement. So this is really just telling what does a champion do? So a champion can be a formal role or an informal role. It can also be a champion for the entire company, like they're in charge of process improvement and they're overseeing that, you know, they're the advocate for Lean Six Sigma. But it can also be a project champion. So if you've got a green belt, chances are you're probably the champion for your green belts project. So it's not just, you know, don't think, oh, this training is not for me because I'm not a champion, because there's a lot of indirect meanings and skills that you're going to learn as a champion. So a champion, in a nutshell, helps transform culture. So they're modeling the way, they're demonstrating certain behaviors, they're following up on certain things, they're making it safe. So that is a really important skill for a champion. They align process improvement with organizational strategy. I think the one thing I hear problem solvers, they're frustrated about is they can't find a project and they're not getting a lot of help finding a project. Well, if you have a clear idea as a champion of the organizational strategy and how process improvement can help, you're going to help people find projects, and they're going to be very grateful and very thankful that you were able to help them find these projects. So that is a definite benefit for a champion. Providing resources for change, removing barriers. So those are really important because sometimes people need help with a little buy-in. Ideally, the teams are doing their due diligence to get buy-in, but sometimes barriers need to be removed, and sometimes a higher level person needs to be able to do that. People are very busy, as an example, and sometimes we have to reprioritize within our organization to get the help. And then finally, supporting problem solvers. So this is, I think, the biggest challenge is, you know, if you have a continuous improvement little group in your organization, they can't do it all. They need the help of leaders. And the best way leaders can help is to help support problem solvers. So in this course, they talk about specifically what a champion or a sponsor, sometimes sponsor is used interchangeably with a champion, can do to support it. So we're going to talk a little bit about those things. So we've got a couple of comments in the chat window. Is there any questions I should be answering right now, Dane? What do you think?
Let's see here. We had a couple of questions a while back. Melody actually just asked us, kind of like a change management practitioner, asking about the champion role.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes. Yes. So that definitely is, change is sort of everywhere, right? Problem solvers have to do it, as well as the champions helping to, you know, help change happen. So yes, I absolutely.
Sure.
All right. What else?
Actually, a little while ago, Manuel asked us between if Lean and Six Sigma are used to achieve continuous improvement, do we have to choose one to use?
No, you do not, Manuel. I think that's actually a myth. But I will say this, Manuel, sometimes the organization chooses for you. Sometimes the organization says, we want to do Lean, not Six Sigma. So go out and get Lean training. And so then you're sort of, so that's why I think it's really important to know both, because so many organizations do process improvement. You might be working for an organization right now that does Lean only, and then your next job, they're doing Lean Six Sigma. So wouldn't it be nice to know what both of them are and how they're complementary and how they you know, work together? Because they're very similar methods, but they do have different tools and they do have different methods to follow. Lean follows PDCA. Six Sigma follows DMAIC. And so I think it's really helpful to know both as you're going, as you know, to learn and more what's happening for yourself. Okay, so let's see. All right, so I have a question for you, another poll. So why do you think organizations need Lean Six Sigma champions? So this is not a poll. You can go ahead and type it in the chat window. What are some reasons why you think the world needs Lean Six Sigma champions? Go ahead and type them in. Okay, Dan, I'm going to put you on the spot for this. Why do you think the world needs Lean Six Sigma champions? Give me one reason.
'Cause I think sometimes that people that aren't leaders inside of an organization have, like you said, those barriers to them completing these process improvement projects, and they need leader buy-in to help them remove those obstacles to really clear the path for them. That's one thing I often find when people are asking about enrolling for a course is how do they select a project and how do they get that support from their leadership team to host the project at the organization.
Yeah, definitely. Good job on that. We're seeing a lot of really good comments here that I think are really, really impactful. So normally they should come to Kaizen events. Absolutely. If not coming to them, participating in them. Problem solving is a universal skill, Jana says, and one that empowers teams. Absolutely. Jason says to have less waste in the process. Todd says to make our organizations better. I love what DeMatt says, battle inertia.
That's really great.
Yeah, it's true. It helps to change the processes. That's what Priya says. And people who do the work improve the work. Yes, absolutely. So I think what's really helpful is if you've got people that are employing process improvement, how can you not be knowledgeable as a leader about what that method is to a degree and how you're going to support it? I think Jana brings up a really good point. People who do the work should improve the work. If that's something you don't know as a leader, what if you have someone else fix their process? What if you decide, okay, I'm going to bring in a black belt from another area and they're going to go fix your process? Guess what? That approach is going to be a failure. You want the people involved who do the work. And these are the kinds of things we talk about in Champion that says, here's the sort of the mindset and here's what has worked for others to avoid some of those big mistakes. Because guess what? Lean and Six Sigma, they work. They've been around since the 40s, like I said, for Toyota, since the 80s for DeMake and for Six Sigma. What doesn't work is sometimes the way we implement them. We implement a program and the way we implement the program fails. So for example, a big strategy a while ago, and I think a lot of people have learned from this, is they would hire a bunch of black belts and have all those black belts fix other people's processes. Nobody likes that. Not only do they not like it, but the sustainability is very low. So all these people are going to come in, fix my process, take credit for the improvement, and then they're going to walk away and they expect me to uphold it. I ain't doing it. No way. Okay, so that's just a bad sustainability process altogether. And if you're a Lean Six Sigma champion, you know better. You're going to know better to do something like that. So these are just some of the things that I put in here, but I know that there's lots of good answers around this too. So again, like I said this earlier, continuous improvement is mainstream. Lots of organizations are doing continuous improvement, and you may not be a leader of people today, but ideally you probably will be. And wouldn't you want to know how to make sure that you're supporting continuous improvement the most successful way that you can? There's armies of people trained. So you know what breaks my heart the most, Dane, is when I do a course, I train people in Greenbelt. And so for example, we just launched an open enrollment blended Greenbelt workshop that's happening right now. Yeah. And it breaks my heart when people introduce themselves. They say, well, I did actually go through the training like 3 years ago, but I never used the training. Oh, that was a waste, right? Like they got training and they never used it.
All the potential for good and improvement and making your life better and your boss's life better. And yeah, that really is heartbreaking because I know from my own Greenbelt training that I have thoroughly enjoyed putting it to the test with our own process and improving them.
Yes, look at Melody. She wrote knife to the heart. Exactly. And you probably And you probably get that too in the front lines, Dane, right? I mean, you're talking to people all the time that contact Go Lean Six Sigma. I'm sure that you've had people say, oh yeah, I've been trained before, but I want to get training again. Have you seen that?
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why we really love having our yellow belt training completely free. Because if people need a refresher, it's a free refresher you can go through on our website just to brush up on the tools and concepts. And even if it's at a yellow belt level, that will still help to jog your memory of the other things that you learned and keep the process improvement journey going for you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, so these are some of the reasons why we need Lean Six Sigma champions, but you guys had a lot of other reasons too that are really important. And my hope is organizations recognize, there are lots of people now that have been trained in process improvement, continuous improvement, and guess what? They're not being leveraged. They're not being used. Even the people that are really active, I have to, because I work with some organizations on a consulting basis, and they'll train their yellow belts and their green belts, and they'll get the certification. And we're always talking about how do we leverage those people after certification? It's not just about certification. That is just a pit stop in the continuous improvement journey. Our jobs as leaders and jobs as organizations is to leverage that knowledge continuously. How will you engage these green belts after certification, and yellow belts and black belts? So you want to identify how to support continuous improvement and how to support these armies of employees that have been trained, because they've been trained. They're armies of people trained. They're not problem solving though. So what do we need to do to make sure that they're now armies of problem solvers? And ultimately, better problem solvers equals better organizations. So I think what's interesting about process improvement is Lean Six Sigma, it does really build better leaders, because gone is that old school leadership style of dictatorship in organizations. It's not seen as effective anymore. That type of leadership doesn't retain and engage employees. And you've heard the saying, don't be just a boss or a manager, be a leader. Being a leader instead of a boss suggests different leadership behaviors and different leadership styles. A style that is more embracing coaching and mentoring. And that means leaders aren't going to have the answers to all the problems. Leaders are coaching employees to be better problem solvers and do experiments. So that means they're not going to have all the answers for everything. And so really what their job is to create ideal conditions so that people can problem solve, making it a safe environment, giving them wiggle room to try experiments. And if you're a better coach, you're going to grow better problem solvers. So this really fits in very, very well with the new leadership style of mentorship and coaching versus the old leadership style, because you really are allowing people to improve processes. So it really can help. All right, so I have a question for you, another question, and you could just type this in the chat window. If you are, and you're like, geez, she's making us work a lot. That's all these questions, but it helps me understand who's on the call, and it helps us become better, right? Besides, it's more fun to be interactive. If you are a leader of problem solvers, what are some of your challenges? So, and even if you're not, because I know there's a large percentage of you that you don't have problem solvers, just type it in the chat window. What are you finding are challenges that you're running into as a leader? Or maybe you could say, if I'm a problem solver, what challenges do I have with my leader? I would love to hear that too. So Jason writes, getting buy-in from staff. Yeah, now Jason, can you expand on that a little bit? Do you mean buy-in for process improvement or buy-in to changes and improvements? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that. Todd, how are you, Todd? Good to see you again. Long time no talk. He was in my class this morning. Getting them to go out and engage in the organization to solve problems. Okay, yeah, good. So I think that's a really important thing is sometimes we train people on process improvement, but they're actually sort of told, don't show anybody our problems. So don't work on anything. Right? So that's really challenging to have the skills, but not be allowed to actually employ the skills that you've learned. So let's see here. What else do we have? Getting the team to listen to a new viewpoint, arriving at a consensus, developing teamwork to get this implemented. Yes, It can be really challenging. I think, Priya, you raise a really good point. This is actually the reason why some people go at process improvement alone, because they think it's just going to be easier if I do it all myself. And then when they get to the improve phase, nobody buys in, right? So it's working with a team is important. And what I love about these methods is it helps you involve the team. It helps you involve the team throughout the whole process of process improvement, and then you have better buy-in. So I think sometimes following the process and making sure your team is going with you on this journey is a really important part. I've seen highly resistant areas and functions to improvements, and then I've also seen them change depending on the approach. And I think that's the most surprising, is we sort of sometimes think people are resistant, but sometimes when we change the approach, it works. Having a leader advocate for my projects. Yes, Chriselle, that is a challenge. Hi, Chriselle, by the way. So that's a challenge. I think the business case in a lot of projects help leaders with the information they need to promote and advocate for the projects. Sometimes we could do a better job of business case, but sometimes they're so busy. We always tell people for the business case for a project is make sure you write it. If your boss has to look at 30 projects, why are they going to pick your project? And it has to be written like that. So that definitely an opportunity. And I wish leaders would ask for that, right? Like, if you want me to support your project, give me the business case. Tell me what your project's going to do, but sometimes they just don't. All right.
That's a great point, Tracy.
Courtney, I'm not a leader, but work as a Greenbelt mentor in my organization. I struggle with our leadership around savings on projects. They don't want to commit to savings for the projects, which makes showing our value difficult. Yes. Are you, Courtney, in government of any kind? And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that they tend to focus, they're not going to necessarily save money. They'll save money with their budget, but they're going to use their budget to spend money in other ways. But I think sometimes it's education around the savings too. Hard savings versus soft savings. They're both important, both valuable, but quantifying those savings is really important. Sometimes people mush them together, and then guess what? You have a CEO asking, well, you saved $5 million on this project. Where's the money? So you have to be really careful. They're important to track, but there has to be the way you track it correctly too. Okay, let's see. Trying to get a champion position established. Yes, Tracy, I get it. So they don't see the value in that, or they don't understand the value. Lack of clear vision for management. Oh, goodness. Oh, good to see you too, Todd. Trying to get people motivated and find process improvements. Yes. Okay. So, I think what works the best, and I don't want to get too far away from what we're trying to do on this, but I'm so excited about process improvement. See, so getting people motivated. You know what I think motivates people the most? When they see pain. When they see pain in a process, they all want to work together to reduce the pain. And that's why I love process walks, because you have people walk through a process, even virtually, you can do this. And when people start to see that this is painful, they all, even if they hate that department, they want to work together to make it better. So I totally get what you're saying, Melody. Prioritization of projects is an issue. They're used to being told what to do. Yes. So that is a great example, Jason. People are sort of used to the dictatorship style, right? So they say, just do what I tell you, just do what I tell you. And now they go, now critical think. Oh, you failed. Forget it. I'm not going to give you an opportunity anymore. So yeah, that's a challenge. All right. So being in government, balance the high demand of reaching production goals. Yes, that is true. I do a lot of work with government. I love helping government. I honestly do. Good people, good, smart people in government, and they're just stuck in these horrible processes that are very difficult to change. So I'm a definite advocate for process improvement in government. Okay, good. Thank you for that. Excellent responses on that. I appreciate that. Pretty exciting, huh, Dane? Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's kind of sad we have so many challenges, but that's why we have this course. Okay, so now let's talk about this course. We got about 20 more minutes. So the champion course is basically broken up into 5 components. And again, this course was developed from talking with people in the field. This was a course we created. So the first step is that everybody is on this journey in a different place, whether you are just getting started or you've been a leader of problem solvers for a long period of time. Everybody's in a different place. So what I really like about this champion course is no matter where you are on this journey, if you've been 5 years in or 1 year in or 20 years in, you can look at all 5 of these and decide what you're going to do for each of these steps and make a difference in the next 3 to 6 months. So we keep it high level on purpose because these are all things you should be doing, but they're going to change. They're like high level goals, and you're going to make specific tactical actions based on all of these, depending on where you are and where your organization is in the journey. So the very first one is what we call Grasp Lean Six Sigma. We're going to talk about each of these briefly. So the first section of the champion course is getting an overview of Lean Six Sigma. It's an executive overview. It talks about the purpose and the methods. So some of you may know about all these already. Some of you have never heard of Lean Six Sigma. So the whole point of grasping Lean Six Sigma is to get an overview of these things. Now, if you are new to Lean Six Sigma, you might do a little bit more work in Grasp Lean Six Sigma to get a better understanding. But if you've been doing this a long time, you're going to rip through some of these very quickly and you can move to the next section. So that's really what number 1 is. The next section is called Transform the Culture. So we spend a good amount of time in these, in what we call the Shingle model for operational excellence. This was founded by the Shingle Institute. And these ideas and principles came from Shigeo Shingo. He was a leading expert and an industrial engineer in Japan. He's written lots of books, many of them not even translated into English. And he was a leading expert on manufacturing practices and the Toyota production system. We like his model because it's simple and it makes sense. And it's for the very same reason. It's broad enough rather than prescriptive so that no matter where you are on the continuous improvement journey, you can assess each floor and make adjustments. So these 4 floors, we talk about these 4 floors. We talk about where you are currently with these 4 floors. And then we talk about barriers. So cultural enablers. That's the foundation for a purpose and a reason. It's, what are leaders doing to support and promote a culture of continuous improvement? And those, you can have some really enriching and discussions around things that are standing in the way for your continuous improvement. So if one of them is blame, how many of you feel like you work in a high blame organization? High blame, meaning, they're pointing the fingers a lot and somebody gets in trouble, they're not focused on the process. How many of you actually work for that or have worked in a high blame organization? Well, guess what? Leaders support that. If high blame is allowed, leaders are allowing it. And so recognizing that we're as leaders supporting that and what are we going to start doing differently, that's really important. So we talk about things like that in Transform the Culture and for each of these. So obviously, are we staying customer focused? Do we have enterprise alignment? Are we communicating the purpose? One of the things that I see a lot of misses around is lots of organizations start to say, okay, we're going to implement Lean Six Sigma. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. But they forget to tell everybody why we're doing it. What's the reason why we're doing? What's the goal? Because you know what? And if you don't share that, people automatically assume that it's because you want to get rid of their job because they're afraid. So we want to, so these are the different elements that we talk about. I actually love this part of the course, Transforming the Culture, because it's very interesting to hear the dynamics of different people's culture in the course. And we're actually doing a blended workshop in collaboration with UC San Diego. It starts in October. So we have the asynchronous training here available at golean6sigma.com for this course, but you can also join the blended workshop course that I teach at UC San Diego as well. And we can provide a link for that too if you have an interest. The third section is Embrace the Leader's Role. So the reason why Embrace the Leader's Role isn't first is because After transform the culture, there's usually a transformation roadmap that comes out of that section, and the leader uses that map to drive what they do on a daily, weekly, or monthly or quarterly basis. It depends where you are on the journey, where you're headed, and what you want to do this year to get there. So embracing the leader's role is not just about commitment, it's about action. And you need a roadmap to come up with actions. So here's what we've typically seen as a challenge for leaders. Top management says, okay, we're going to do Lean Six Sigma. Frontline goes to training. They have very clear ideas about what they're supposed to be doing, DMAIC, PDCA. And then the middle management's kind of stuck with trying to figure it out. Middle management's a little gray. It's not clear what they're supposed to be doing. And what I'm finding is most middle management, supervisors, directors, managers, they want to be supportive. They're just not quite sure what they're supposed to be doing to be supportive. So we call them the frozen middle, which is why these two ladies on the screen are in ice cubes. And ultimately, they're mobilized. They're a little uncertain about what they're supposed to be doing. And typically, it's not a collaborative joint effort. It's not what we call leader standard work. So we talk about leader standard work. We talk about what to do for embracing that leader's role, ideas to think about. And then ideally, you design what you think you should be doing to meet the roles for you being an effective leader in the organization. But we do talk about best practices at Toyota. We talk about other leaders that have worked really well and have worked for them, and share that with you. Okay, number 4, which is making problems. So again, this is a huge part of the mentality of lean and process improvement. No problem. From Taiichi Ono, who came from Toyota. Having no problems is the biggest problem of all. If you're not thinking about problems, chances are it's because people are covering them up, right? And that tells you a lot about the culture. So I want to know, what happens in your culture today? What happens in your organization? Do people openly share and solve problems, or do people hide their problems? I'd love to hear what you have to say about that in the chat window. So please comment, please. And I'll repeat that. What do you see happening in your organization today? Do they openly share and solve problems, or do they hide problems? So go ahead and type that. So making problems visible, it should be okay to discuss problems. It's a huge responsibility of the leader. Leaders may say they want people to share, but their actions may not align to supporting that. So we really try to say, how are you making problems visible and safe? So is it actually safe to share these problems, or are people secretly being told not to share problems and being told to cover them up? So I just have a quick story here. I was working with a government organization, and they ended up having it's called a huddle board, or a visual board, and it had some symbols and metrics on it. And of course, if the metric wasn't where it needed to be, it would be red. But what I discovered is there was no reds on any of the boards. So I thought, well, gosh, you guys are perfect. There's nothing to improve at all. But it was a bigger representation of what was happening in their culture. People were afraid. And so we had to bring the leaders in a room and say, why is this happening? Why is there no red? And then we asked them, what exactly do you do when something red occurs on the board? Walk us through what you do. And that's when they recognized that they were, with their behavior, telling people not to put stuff on the board. So that was a good learning for them. All right, so a little both, depending on the manager. Good. Hide problems from others, but it's improving. Good. That's good to hear. Most of us are sharing and solving problems together, is from Courtney. But it's taken 4 years of implementing Lean Six Sigma to get here. Yes, still hiding a few here and there. Yep, that's great. That's wonderful progress. Sometimes we have to establish a safe place, no blame. It's the process, not the person atmosphere before people share. In other instances, they are comfortable from the start. That's a great comment, Demat. I agree with you. I have to do that a lot when I go to organizations. I have to remind people, This is not about the people, it's about the process, and we're here. It's a no blame. There's no finger pointing. Okay, now let's talk about what you guys found on the process walk. So it's almost like you're reminding people of the ground rules, especially in situations where pointing the finger will create damage. So absolutely. Good. So this is a visual board. It's called a task board, also known in Japanese as a kamishibai board. I won't talk about what that is right now, but it's a task board, and you learn about what those are in the training to help make problems visible. Okay, lastly is supporting problem solvers. So this section of the champion course is the biggest, because supporting problem solvers is a big deal. So, and again, we find that you may not do all of the mentoring here, but you should have some of the basics down under your belt. Pardon the pun about belt. But so like, working through problem statements, selecting projects, it's really painful when a problem solver is handed a solution to implement, not a problem to solve. And so these are really, we spend a lot of time under this section so that you start to feel more comfortable with coaching people on A3s or problems or selecting projects or supporting projects or leveraging your belts. If you've got a lot of people, what are some things you can do to keep them engaged? And so that's the last portion of the champion course. So as you can tell, I'm pretty excited about the course, and these are the 5 sections. It's only 20 hours of online work, of asynchronous work. And I just have a quick question for you again. This is a poll, so I'm gonna go ahead and launch the poll, so don't put this in the chat window. Let me get to the poll really quick first. This is my mouse challenge. Okay, so the poll is, which section of the course sounds most valuable to you? All right, so I don't know, Dane, what do you think? While we're waiting for our voters to come in, what do you think? Which one do you think would be the most valuable if you had to pick one?
This is a tough one. I'd say probably supporting problem solvers. I think that a lot of them have their merit, but if we're talking about champions specifically, then I think supporting problem solvers is probably the most important thing a champion can do for the organization.
Yeah, good. Very nice. I think we kind of heard from supporting problem solvers, but I'm a little biased because I'm around problem solvers all the time. So I'm hearing about the challenges that they're running into with their leader and those kinds of things. Okay, let's end the poll and see what we came up with sharing results.
All right, so it seems a lot of people agree with me that supporting problem solvers is the most important. That's 29% of our pollers. But next to that is going to be making problems visible and transforming the culture. A lot of people said that all of them are valuable. And then last ones were embracing the leader role and grasping Lean Six Sigma.
Yeah, okay, very good, very helpful. I was watching those poll totals, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at that. So then it kind of evened out. All right, so only one person thinks embracing the leader's role is important. I'm just kidding. No, that's good. Obviously, the reason why you're here is because you think it's important. Thank you for that feedback. Again, this helps us make our processes, our training better. So I'll stop sharing the poll. And we've only got about 8 more minutes. So I'm going to just let you know a little bit about the course. So we have a lot of integrated learning formats. This is the asynchronous course. So what that means is you can take the course anytime you want and finish on your own schedule, but it does combine online modules. You get to hear podcast interviews from some really cool leaders that are in the main, the core process and what they're doing to support process improvement. And we have blogs that you're going to read from leaders or about leadership. There are exams, there are assignments. There is a few webinars for you to look at as well. So all of these are, it's not just one format, it's a bunch of formats that are combined to create this material and this training for you. Here's an example of the how many hours of commitment that it is for the course. So as you can see, grasping Lean Six Sigma is 3, transforming the culture is about almost 2 hours, and then so on and so on, where you can see supporting problem solvers is 7. So it's pretty heavy on the problem solvers, and it's a total of 20 hours. I really believe there's some reflection that happens as well, and some of the activities that you can do outside of the course that you want to do with your leadership team or with your direct reports. And so ultimately, it's not just taking the course, it's actually implementing some of this as well. And so how would you go about doing this? So this is for our champion course. You basically register, then you start the training and the exams. You don't have to complete a project for the champion course, and then you would get your certified champion belt. Woohoo! And hopefully become a better leader and a better supporter of problem solvers. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat window. And hopefully, I would really love to hear your feedback if you think this will be a valuable course and a training. And of course, if you end up taking the training, we'd love to hear what you thought about it. So ultimately, making those problems visible, embracing the leader's role, and how to grow problem solvers. Those are the really big outcomes of this course. And I'm going to let Dane talk about this slide, because this is the big reveal that I was telling you about that you needed to wait until the very end to hear. Take it away, Dane.
Absolutely, Tracy. So if you register for the course by Friday, August 28th, and use the coupon code LSSCHAMP at checkout, you're going to receive 50% off the champion training and certification course. As we had in the previous slide, it's simple as clicking on the link in our chat provided by our lovely coordinator, James, that links you straight to the champion course. You add the course to your cart, apply that coupon code to your cart, and complete the checkout process.
Can you believe it? 50% off. That's a lot. So what does that mean from a dollar perspective, Dane? Can you expand on that?
So the champion course is usually $999. So with that 50% off, it brings it down to just under $500.
$500, not bad. That's impressive. So, so, you know, go get the approvals, whatever you need to do to go through the course. Also, don't forget, if you would like the blended option, you can always go through the UC San Diego, it's called the Lean Six Sigma Leader course. That doesn't start until October, and it's got 5 interactive sessions with myself and Elizabeth Swan as the instructors. We can, if you have an interest, we can send that to you. Just send a note to Dane and he can send you the information.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to say, Tracy, is that after this webinar, I think that my next course I'm going to take here is going to be our champion course, because I want to learn how to better support problem solving inside of our own organization. I think you're right. We're a little lucky that we have so many problem solvers on our team and that we already embrace a lot of this ourselves. But I really want to know all the nitty gritty tips and tricks that I can use to further support that culture.
Very nice. I love to hear it, Dane. See, that was the #1 reason why I had this champion course, because I wanted Dane to attend. Okay, does anybody have any questions at all? If you don't have any questions, you are welcome to leave. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed today's webinar and information session. And I will just hang on the line until 11 o'clock, so 3 more minutes in case anyone else has any other information or has any other questions. You can come on audio if you want. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
Take care.
Thank you guys so much.
Dane, you stay on the line as well.
Absolutely. I'm not going anywhere, Tracy.
Okay, thanks. So if anybody, because you know what I'm finding is sometimes people get online and they just have a question. Thank you, everybody. Bye, Tanya. Bye, Anthony. Bye, Todd. Thanks, James.
Bye, Lewis. Bye, Melody. You be safe too, Lewis.
All right. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the link, the UCSD link earlier. We could have provided that, but we'll do it later. With the coupon, the course costs $349. What? That's awesome. Are you sure? Maybe that's a mistake. Go fix it. $349. What a deal. Boy, we're just giving it away now.
Even better. And I think we do have a question from Joe Lee asking, I was thinking about doing the UC San Diego course, but you said there are live sessions?
Yes. Yes, there are live sessions. So there's going to be more of a time commitment. So it's 20 hours of asynchronous work, but then you have 5 1.5, they're actually 5 2-hour sessions with the instructors. So you do a kickoff where you get to meet everybody in the class, and then you have 3 sessions in the middle for activities and exercises that you do with the groups, and then you have the last one is in Zoom. So yeah, there are 5, and then there's dates of when those sessions are on the UCSD website. I think it's ucsdextension.edu. And you can look up the Lean Six Sigma Leader course. It costs more money, of course, because you're getting more. You're getting the live sessions, so it costs more money than that, and you can't use the coupon, unfortunately. Yes, Douglas, it is designed for leaders in particular, but it could be any level of leadership. It could be supervisor, manager, director, and it could be any of those kinds of leaders. Where if the rank and file is frontline workers, you're right, probably wouldn't apply for that. All right, well, we are at the 12 o'clock mark, so I'm going to go ahead and hang up. Thank you, Dane, for being my Vanna today.
Absolutely, Tracy. I want to thank everyone again for attending, and we look forward to seeing if you register for the champion course.
Yes. Oh, and Jolie had one more. I told her it was at your own pace. Yes, so this GoLean6Sigma.com's course is at your own pace. So if you live in Europe, you're probably better off attending the GoLean Six Sigma offering. The UC San Diego course, there are 5 live sessions. So, and those are going to be from 1 to 3 Pacific. So if those don't work, you're better off doing the GoLean Six Sigma course. All right, you guys, have a great day. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.